Hey darlings. Now everything makes sense. My precious jewelry was stolen, and I know who could have taken it. Mom, what are you talking about? I'm sure you lost them and they're lying around here. Not many people come to our house, so how could they have robbed us? My husband asked. Ah, Carlos, you don't understand, or you are very innocent. No one entered the house or came from outside to steal my precious jewelry. It was your greedy wife who took them, said Marcia, pointing to me as the culprit for the disappearance of the jewels. But I have a big surprise prepared for her, which will leave everyone completely shocked when the police arrive. From now on, I invite you all to subscribe here on the channel. And if you like our content, support the channel. There's a button down here in the shape of a heart. We will be very grateful for your support, and together we will follow this exciting story to the end. My name is Elisa, and my relationship with my sister-in-law Talita is very close. Thanks to her, I met my husband Carlos. Talita and I used to work together at the same company before I got involved with Carlos. She was the one who introduced us, and I am immensely grateful for that. Carlos and I get along very well, and now we are married. Both Talita and Carlos are wonderful people, but their mother, Marcia, has never put up with me since we met. He told me directly that he hated me. Carlos was quite surprised and tried anyway to change her mind. I tried it too, until I realized how problematic it is. I won't go into detail about his actions, but I can say that he made my life hell. I will only mention what she did at my marriage. She spilled wine on herself and blamed me for ruining the dress on purpose. No one believed him, of course, but my day was ruined anyway. Carlos and I argued a lot about her, but nothing changed. Marcia was a single mother who clung to Carlos, and he was conditioned to forgive and ignore her behavior. The most recent incident occurred on our first wedding anniversary. Until then, Marcia had already ruined many of my important days and done some horrible things. But that was the breaking point between Carlos and me. Carlos did not support his mother, but he did not agree with cutting contact with her either. Marcia was happy with Carlos's support and continued plotting to get rid of me. For my anniversary, he came to our city and stayed at our house for a few days. I was already quite anxious to have her under the same roof, but imagine my surprise when Talita called me out of the blue and said she had something important to tell me about Marcia. I asked her what it was, and she replied, "Elisa, it's serious. You won't believe it. It's about Marcia. There she goes again. My mother-in-law, the troublemaker. This time he is crossing all limits, wanting to embarrass and humiliate you on your wedding anniversary. Why won't this woman leave me alone? We all know the tricks of my dear mother-in-law. He loved making unnecessary scenes and finding ways to really embarrass me. Carlos and Talita defended me, but it wasn't enough to stop her. He wanted to cut off relations with Marcia forever, but Carlos did not allow it. She was his mother, and he wanted her present in his life. We had countless arguments about this, a very delicate point in our marriage. I was reluctant to even invite Marcia to our anniversary, but Carlos insisted. Talita confirmed that she was not delirious. Marcia was up to something. Mom will accuse you of stealing her necklace, the one that was inherited. She has everything planned, although she has not given details. I tried to stop her, but she didn't listen to me. I can't believe he's trying to ruin my birthday. Elisa, you have to be careful. Don't worry, Talita. I'll keep an eye on her. I was already starting to get annoyed with Marcia again. He had big plans for the day, although he hadn't made many preparations or a big party. I was hoping to have a good time with my close friends and family, but now I had to worry about my mother-in-law Marcia. I thought about telling Carlos what Talita told me, but something stopped me. Carlos needed to get better at defending me from his mother. Marcia was taking advantage of Carlos' weakness towards her. He needed to realize how bad his mother was and cut ties with her once and for all. So I kept an eye on Marcia and didn't tell Carlos. Marcia decided it would be wise to threaten me before doing what she wanted. As he filled my glass, He pulled me aside and said, "You're having fun, right? You threw this lavish party to celebrate your marriage, and you think you came out on top, don't you, Elisa? What nonsense is that, Marcia? What? Does my wedding anniversary have to do with winning or losing?" I asked. "Don't play innocent. I'm sure you're happy that my son is staying away from me because of you. Do you think you can take him away from me? I won't allow it. Say your prayers, because soon you will fall," Marcia threatened, confirming that I had really planned something, although I didn't manage to catch her before the anniversary. The party was in full swing when Marcia suddenly left to go put on her jewelry. Apparently, she had forgotten to put it on. Talita looked at me with a flash of understanding in her eyes. I nodded to confirm that I thought the same as her. We were quiet for a moment until we heard Marcia scream. That's when Marcia ran down the stairs with a surprised and anxious expression. "My God, I lost my precious necklace and highly luxurious earrings. Where can they be?" I was speaking so loudly that everyone could hear. "I was going to wear them, but they're gone. What will I do? Mom is sure I didn't bring them with you. Did you check the room well? Did you bring them with you?" Carlos asked. "Of course you did, Carlos. It's your wedding anniversary party. I was going to look my best, but now my jewelry is missing." Marcia started crying in front of everyone. People were comforting her, and my husband seemed pretty upset. Meanwhile, Talita and I rolled our eyes, because we knew what was happening. We stood in silence for a moment to see how Marcia would convince everyone that I had stolen her jewelry. When people asked her various questions about the jewelry, she responded by crying for everyone, but suddenly pretended to be surprised and acted as if a light bulb had gone off in her head. Now everything makes sense. My jewelry was stolen, and I know who may have taken it. Mom, what are you talking about? I'm sure you lost them and they're lying around here. Not many people come to our house, so how could they steal them? My husband asked. Ah, Carlos, you don't understand, or you are very innocent. No one entered the house or came from outside to steal my precious jewelry. It was your greedy wife who took them, Marcia said, pointing to me as the one to blame for the disappearance of the jewels. Carlos seemed really disturbed. He trusted me and wouldn't believe for a second that I had stolen from his mother. Of course he loved her mother, but she also loved me very much. I knew that. Carlos defended me immediately. Mom, I don't think that's fair. You're making false accusations against my wife. She would never do something like that. You must have dropped them, right? Carlos defended. No, Carlos, you have to believe me. Do you remember how Elisa talked about my jewelry? I knew she would never let me have them. So he stole them, Marcia insisted. These are completely unfounded accusations. Elisa only praised the design. She never once asked me to give her the necklace. My poor son is blind with love. You must see how selfish and greedy your wife is. She was the one who stole my jewelry. That's why he never asked me to borrow them. She wanted them for herself, Marcia explained. At that moment, Carlos and Marcia got into an argument, while the rest of the guests kept looking from side to side. Honestly, it was very embarrassing to be accused of theft in my own wedding anniversary, something I never imagined. But things happen, and we have to make the best of the situation. Definitely, I would do it. You have the audacity to stay at my house and make accusations about me. Do you think I'm a low-level thief who would go after your jewelry? You're so wrong, Marcia. I'm above that. Don't try to play innocent, Elisa. I know it was you. I'm sure it was you who stole my jewelry. You should have gone into my room and come out with a bag. Don't act oblivious because it's your house. But everything makes sense now, Marcia. You must stop making unfounded assumptions. I don't have to ruin my reputation without proof. Who knows what you did with your jewelry? Don't blame me. Okay, so if I'm lying, why don't we go check your room? I'm % sure I'll find my jewelry there. We also have many witnesses. Mom, you can't invade our privacy like that. It's rude and disrespectful. Leave it, Carlos. At this point, I don't care anymore. Your mother has crossed the line. If we don't stop her, everyone here will always doubt that I'm a thief, I argued. Carlos looked really distressed. I knew her mother was putting on a show because she didn't like me, but no one could ignore the fact that the jewelry was missing and Marcia had already blamed me for it. I had to do everything I could to clear my name. So, Carlos said it and told his mother to check our room. We went, and people started looking around. Marcia, foolish as she is, went straight to my closet to grab the safe that she had probably hidden there herself. Look, Carlos, I found my jewelry. They were in your wife's closet. I was right. She stole because she is greedy and jealous, Marcia accused me. This is impossible. I know that my wife would not steal jewelry from you. I don't know how they got there. You were wrong, Elisa, defended Carlos. Of course not. You know I'm not a real thief, Carlos, I insisted. So how did my precious jewelry set end up in your closet? There's no escaping that, Marcia replied. I'm sorry, Carlos, but I think I have to call the police, Marcia concluded. Carlos stood, perplexed, while Marcia called the police, and whispers ran through the room. Many could not believe what they were seeing. It was humiliating for me, but I did nothing but wait for the police to arrive while Marcia berated me, called me names, and said horrible things about me. Carlos, enough is enough. I know you didn't believe me when I said that Elisa is interested. I'm sure now you know I was right. You should wake up and divorce her as soon as possible. Nobody wants a thief in the family. Either way, now the police will arrest her, Marcia insisted. Mom, I don't think it was smart of you to call the police. You might not like what happens next, Talita interjected. What do you mean, Talita? I won't let Elisa get away with a robbery as big as this. People who commit crimes must be punished. There must be no room for mercy, otherwise it will only get worse, Marcia argued. I think Talita is right, Marcia. You shouldn't have called the police. This will only get worse for you, I agreed. But since you already called the police, there's no going back. How will it get worse for me if you're the one committing a crime here? I would love to see that satisfied smile on your face, Marcia challenged. At that moment, I started laughing at her, and so did Talita. He smiled and shook his head. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy. They were supposed to arrest me, but I was laughing anyway. People would think I was laughing out of nervousness. I calmed down and said, Marcia, I must say you had a brilliant plan in mind. It's really remarkable how you carefully planned to trap me and make me look like a thief. Inside my own home. What do you mean? My mother-in-law asked. Oh my God, Mom. Have a little shame. You've really crossed the line. We know that Elisa didn't steal your jewelry. It's all a trap you created to make her look guilty, Talita chided. Laura seemed a little nervous when Talita said that, but she still wasn't going to give up on her plan. He feigned innocence and said, I don't know what you're talking about, Talita. I didn't do absolutely anything. Stop pretending, Marcia. Did you think you could set me up and I wouldn't know? Talita told me everything. He warned me that you were planning to accuse me of theft and set up a trap. I knew about it even before the party. How dare you say that? You're influencing my poor girl and making her say things. They have no proof of what they're saying, I rebutted. Mom, we have no proof that you told us your plan, but we have a better way to prove what you did. Exactly. Now, to protect my reputation, I'm going to say what proves it. Now that you've called the police, you'll have to reveal it to all of them anyway, I replied. What do you mean, Elisa? What evidence were you talking about? Did you forget that we have cameras at home? Marcia asked, her expression suddenly changing. It's true. Even I had forgotten about the cameras. We have cameras in the hallway with a clear view of all the rooms from outside. We can check to know the truth, Carlos revealed. Why would we do that, Carlos? I'm your mother, and I'm telling you that Elisa stole from me. We don't need to prove my words, Marcia tried to argue. Why are you changing your mind now, Mom? I thought you wanted to get to the bottom of this. I don't believe for a second that my wife is a thief. Even if you don't want to see the evidence, I need to see it with my own eyes, he insisted. Carlos. Marcia began to turn pale and did everything she could to prevent Carlos from seeing the camera recording. I pulled out the recordings saved on my phone and we started watching the videos. Meanwhile, the police officers arrived and everyone gave them a brief summary. Marcia immediately addressed them and said, "Agents over here, you need to take Elisa into custody immediately. She stole my jewelry and we found it in her closet. She is a criminal. They have to arrest her now. I have proof that my mother-in-law set up a trap and is making false accusations against me. I have solid evidence against her. In fact, my house has cameras. These are the images she recorded yesterday," I said, handing my phone to the agents to that they saw. Carlos and the others watched the recording later. The recording clearly showed that Marcia took the safe from her room and broke into mine. When she came out, she no longer had the safe with her. It was proven that Marcia placed her safe in my room on purpose. Everyone was shocked, and Carlos started yelling at Marcia. "Mom, how can you do this to my wife? Elisa has been so good to you, and you do this to her. What happened to you? Please, son, let me explain," Marcia pleaded. "No, I just don't want anything to do with you anymore, Mom. I'm tired. It's over. You tried to destroy my wife's life and reputation on our anniversary. I will never forgive you. I can't believe you've sunk so low, Mom. God, I'm ashamed to have a mother like you. I think I don't want to have contact with you from now on," Carlos stated, firm in his decision. "By the way, I think the same too, Mom. It's over for me too," Talita agreed. Upon hearing this, Marcia began to cry very hard, clung to Carlos's arm and tried to reason with him, begging him to forgive her. It was pathetic, and the guests shook their heads at Marcia. Most of the guests were family, so they didn't hold back their criticism of Marcia. Finally, the cops said to me, "You know you can sue your mother-in-law for these false accusations, right?" "Yes, I know. Thanks for remembering." "So, I would like to go ahead and press charges," I responded. "I suggest we do it. Let's arrest her right now and get her out of the picture. I see you have a party to organize, right, agents? I would like to press charges. Please arrest her. What Mom did was terrible. You should press charges." "You have my full support," Talita said suddenly. It was all too much for our mother-in-law, Marcia. The police officers approached her and handcuffed her as she struggled. They warned her that they could charge her with resisting arrest, but Marcia was not in her mental state. Normal. He screamed and apologized to Carlos, Talita, and even me. "Elisa, please don't do this with me. I'm your mother-in-law. What will people think when they see me being arrested? You didn't care when you called the police on me, right? Why should I care? I'm in the right thing to do to make them learn. You hurt me. I'm sorry, Elisa. I shouldn't have done that. Look, we are family. We can resolve this among ourselves. There is no need to involve the police now," Marcia implored. "Marcia, I remember perfectly well that you said that criminals should not be forgiven. Otherwise, they will get worse. Seeing that you can easily become a threat to this society, I absolutely have the duty, as a concerned citizen, to have you arrested," I responded. Marcia was surprised when I threw those words at her. She continued crying and mumbling apologies while everyone criticized her. The police wasted no time and took her away. Carlos and I went with them to the police station to file the complaint, while Talita stayed to take care of the guests. When Carlos and I arrived at the police station, we filed the report for processing. She had already caused enough damage in my life, but I still wanted Carlos to fully agree with her as well. I said, "Carlos, are you sure you're okay with this? If you're not comfortable with the police report, we can always back out." "No, Elisa, we are not going to back down. Without a police report, we have to do this. I can't protect her now. It almost destroyed my life. I can't forget it. You know I never doubted you, right? Carlos said, determined. I know, Carlos. Your mother being a psychopath is not your fault. It's completely hers, I responded, understanding her pain. He felt very guilty for not having protected me better. I understood your pain. He loved his mother very much. It is difficult to know that the woman who raised him is bad, but he still gave the green light to file a complaint, and I did so too. We promised not to let Marcia back into our lives. We agreed to do couples therapy to better manage our marriage. Carlos and I returned to the party and decided to continue with the celebration. There was food, and we were surrounded by the support of family and friends. We had no reason to ruin everything for one person. After all, it was our anniversary. So we resumed the celebrations and had fun. Talita also enjoyed it a lot. Meanwhile, my dear mother-in-law Marcia was rotting in prison. Marcia did not want the case to go to trial. After all, he reached an agreement with my lawyer. I received a good amount of money, while she got away with what she did. I really hope he changes his behavior after this. I say I hope, because we no longer have contact with Marcia. Carlos, I and Talita cut ties with her, as did some members of her family. The others simply ignored her, but did not block her immediately. Anyway, who knows when he would decide to attack other family members out of hard feelings. Since we cut contact with Marcia, my marriage has improved a lot. Couples therapy also helped. Now, we are expecting our first child, and we thought about keeping our darling son away from Marcia as well. There are moments in life that transcend understanding, placing us in incredible situations. Imagine, I found myself on the brink of an unfair process within my own home, all orchestrated by my mother-in-law, a completely unbalanced person obsessed with issues that escape reason. However, divine providence gifted us with an invaluable resource, cameras scattered throughout the house. Those silent witnesses, those electronic eyes, were my salvation, the irrefutable proof of my innocence. Yes, I managed to free myself from that legal nightmare that could have ruined my life. But I can't ignore what my mother-in-law tried to do. His evil, his manipulation, and his obsession need to be exposed. May this experience serve as a lesson to you. May every act of injustice you committed against me return as a reflection of your own distorted character. Let him face the consequences of his actions and pay for all the suffering he caused me. If you've made it this far, I'd love to know your opinion. What would you do if you were in my place? Leave it here in the comments, as it is very important to us. I also invite all of you to subscribe here on the channel. And if you like our content, support the channel. There's a button down here in the shape of a heart. We would be very grateful for your support, and we will see you in the next Moments of Life stories.